He was no ordinary man. His strength was unmatched, his courage legendary, but his life was cursed from the very moment he was born. This is the tale of Hercules, the greatest hero of Greek mythology. Son of Zeus, the king of the gods, and Alcmena, a mortal woman, Hercules was destined for greatness. But his birth ignited the fury of one goddess, Hera, the jealous wife of Zeus. To her, Hercules was not a hero, he was a constant reminder of her husband's betrayal. And she swore that this child would never know peace. From the start, Hercules' life was marked by danger. Before he could even speak, Hera sent 2 monstrous serpents to kill him in his crib. But as the snakes slithered closer, the infant hero reached out with his tiny hands and crushed them with terrifying strength. The people marveled. "Surely this child is blessed by the gods," they whispered. But Hera knew the truth. He was not blessed, he was cursed, for a life shaped by divine hatred would lead Hercules into trials darker than anyone could imagine. And that hatred would one day drive him to a tragedy so great it would change his destiny forever. From the moment he survived the snakes, Hercules grew into a child unlike any other. His body was strong, his spirit untamed, and his temper dangerous. Trained by the greatest masters of Greece, he learned the art of war, the skill of archery, and even music. Yet, despite all his talents, he struggled with something far more powerful than any weapon, his own anger. The people admired him as a gift from Zeus, a hero in the making. But Hera never forgot. Her hatred followed him like a shadow, waiting for the moment to strike. And when it came, it would change Hercules' life forever. In a fit of divine cruelty, Hera clouded Hercules' mind with madness. The hero, blind to reality, believed his family to be enemies. And in that moment of frenzy, he committed an unthinkable act. He killed those he loved most. His wife, Megara, his children, his home, destroyed by his own hands. When the madness lifted, Hercules looked upon the horror he had created. The strongest man in Greece fell to his knees, broken by grief. No battle, no monster, no god could ever compare to the torment of that moment. But in Greek mythology, even tragedy can lead to destiny. To cleanse his soul, to seek redemption, Hercules would be sent on a journey of impossible trials, a path of pain and glory that would become the greatest adventure ever told. The 12 labors of Hercules.
1. The Nemean Lion. The first trial was a monster that no blade could pierce, the Nemean lion. Its golden fur was harder than iron, its roar shook the mountains. Hunters had tried and failed, but Hercules cornered the beast in its dark cave, and when sword and arrows broke against its hide, he relied only on brute strength. With his arms like steel, he strangled the lion until it fell lifeless. From its pelt, he forged his iconic armor, the cloak of the lion that made him look more beast than man. 2. The Lernaean Hydra. Next came the Hydra, a serpent with 9 heads, each one spitting poison. Cut one, and 2 more would grow in its place. As Hercules battled the creature in the swamps of Lerna, his nephew Iolaus brought fire. Together they cauterized each wound as Hercules struck, burning the necks before more heads could rise. At last he buried the immortal head under a massive stone, proving that even a monster of endless life could be defeated. 3. The Cyrenian Hind. The third labor seemed simple. Capture a deer, but not just any deer. The golden hind of Artemis, swift as the wind and sacred to the goddess herself. For a full year, Hercules pursued the creature across mountains, rivers, and forests. At last, he caught it gently, without harming it, earning the reluctant respect of Artemis herself. 4. The Erymanthian boar. The next beast was the Erymanthian boar, a monster of the frozen peaks, said to tear men apart with its tusks. Hercules chased it through the snow, forcing it into deep drifts where its strength was useless. Then, with ropes and chains, he dragged the raging creature alive, a mountain of fury bound by the hands of one man. 5. The Augean stables. Then came a challenge not of combat, but of wit. The Augean stables had housed thousands of cattle for decades, never once cleaned. The filth was impossible, the stench unbearable. But Hercules was cunning. He diverted 2 mighty rivers, flooding the stables, and in a single day the impossible task was done, not by strength alone, but by intellect. 6. The Stymphalian birds. Dark wings filled the sky over Lake Stymphalia. The birds were monstrous, their beaks bronze, their feathers sharp as blades, their hunger insatiable. Hercules, unable to face the flock alone, raised a sacred rattle given by Athena. Its piercing sound scattered the creatures into the air, and with his bow he struck them down from the heavens. 7. The Cretan bull. On the island of Crete, a bull of divine fire raged across the land. Some say it was the very father of the Minotaur. With raw power, Hercules seized the beast by its horns, wrestling it into submission, proving once again that no monster of earth or sea could rival his might.
8. The mares of Diomedes. But not all beasts were born of nature. Some were made by cruelty. The mares of Diomedes were horses fed on human flesh, their eyes burning with madness. Hercules confronted the Thracian king Diomedes, and, in grim justice, fed him to his own mares. With their master's blood, the frenzy ended, and the beasts finally obeyed. 9. The belt of Hippolyta. The 9th labor led Hercules to the land of the Amazons, ruled by the warrior queen Hippolyta. At first she welcomed him, even offering her golden belt as a gift. But Hera, never far away, spread lies of betrayal. Chaos erupted, and Hercules was forced to fight the Amazons. In the end, he claimed the belt, but at the cost of bloodshed that need never have been. 10. The cattle of Geryon. Far to the west lived Geryon, a giant with 3 bodies fused into one, guarding a herd of red cattle. To reach him, Hercules crossed deserts and seas, slaying monsters along the way. The final battle was brutal, but with bow and poisoned arrows he struck Geryon down. The cattle became his prize, but victory came only with blood and fire. 11. The apples of the Hesperides. The golden apples of the Hesperides were treasures of immortality, guarded by a dragon that never slept. To claim them, Hercules turned not to strength, but to cunning. He sought Atlas, the Titan condemned to hold the sky itself. Offering to bear the heavens in Atlas's place, Hercules tricked the giant into retrieving the apples for him. When Atlas tried to abandon his burden, Hercules feigned agreement, then swiftly shifted the weight of the heavens back onto the Titan's shoulders. With wit and will, the hero carried away the apples of the gods. 12. The capture of Cerberus. The final trial was unlike any before. Hercules was sent to the realm of the dead itself. His task, bring back Cerberus, the monstrous hound of Hades, with 3 heads and a serpent's tail. Armed with nothing but his strength and courage, Hercules descended into the underworld. With his bare hands he wrestled the beast into submission, dragging it into the world of the living. Even death itself could not stand against him. And with this final trial, the labors of Hercules were complete. 12 impossible tasks, 12 victories, carved into legend.
The adventures beyond the labors. The 12 labors were over, but Hercules' story did not end there. For a man forged by gods, tragedy, and destiny could never live a quiet life. His path beyond the labors was filled with battles, acts of mercy, and shadows of sorrow. The battle against the giants. When the earth-born giants rose against Olympus, it was Hercules who turned the tide. Armed with his bow and poisoned arrows, he struck down enemies taller than towers, their roars shaking the heavens. Some whispered that without Hercules, the throne of Zeus himself would have crumbled. The mortal son of a god had become the god's deadliest weapon. The rescue of Prometheus. But Hercules was more than a slayer of beasts. He was also a liberator. In the desolate peaks of the Caucasus, he found Prometheus, the Titan who had given fire to mankind, chained in eternal torment as an eagle tore at his flesh each day. With a single arrow, Hercules brought down the bird, and with his strength he shattered the chains. For the first time in ages, Prometheus breathed free, and humanity owed yet another gift to Hercules. Wars and conquests. His legend carried him into wars across Greece and far beyond. He fought entire armies, toppled kings, and seized cities with his unstoppable might. To some he was salvation, to others a conqueror. Hercules was not a man, he was a storm, and storms do not choose whom they destroy. Yet his greatest struggles were not always fought with bow or club, but with his heart. Hercules loved deeply, and he lost just as deeply. His marriage to Deianira, a tale that began in devotion, would one day become the chain that led to his downfall. For wherever Hercules went, Hera's shadow followed, weaving betrayal and heartbreak into every step of his journey. A hero's fate approaches. The adventures beyond the labors revealed a man larger than life, but still bound by destiny. Hercules had won glory, freed titans, and conquered kings, but his story was far from finished. Ahead lay fire, betrayal, and transformation, the final chapter in the tale of the greatest hero Greece ever knew.
The death and immortality of Hercules. Even the greatest heroes cannot escape fate. And for Hercules, destiny came not through battle with monsters, nor war with giants, but through betrayal and heartbreak. The poisoned gift. Hercules lived as a husband to Deianira, a woman who loved him deeply. But Hera's shadow still lingered, weaving its cruel web. One day, Deianira was tricked into believing Hercules had betrayed her. Desperate to keep his love, she gave him a robe soaked in what she thought was a potion of devotion. In truth, it was poisoned with the venom of the Hydra. The moment Hercules wore it, his skin burned as if set ablaze. The poison ate into his flesh, spreading fire through his veins. Even the strongest man alive fell to the ground in agony, his roars echoing through the mountains. The pyre of pain. Knowing death was inevitable,
Hercules refused to let fate claim him in shame. Upon Mount Oeta he built a great funeral pyre. The flames would be his release. As the fire rose, his mortal body, scarred by battle, broken by poison, began to burn away. But this was not an end, for as the smoke reached the heavens, the gods themselves intervened. The apotheosis. Zeus, moved by both pride and sorrow for his son, lifted Hercules from the fire. His mortal suffering was stripped away, and what remained was something greater: immortality. Hercules, once a man of flesh and blood, ascended to Olympus. There he was welcomed not as a servant, but as an equal. He became a god, a symbol of strength, endurance, and redemption. Legacy eternal. From that day, mortals prayed to Hercules not just as a hero, but as a protector and deity. His labors, his struggles, and even his suffering became the foundation of legends that echo through the ages. Hercules proved that even in tragedy there can be triumph, that even the most broken soul can rise beyond mortality. And so the man who fought lions, monsters, and even death itself became eternal.
And that was the incredible journey of Hercules, the hero who fought monsters, defied gods, and became one himself. What do you think was his greatest trial? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more myths brought to life.